Hello, hello, hello. Happy day, people. This is Tea and Cornbread, a conversation with Sean and Tracy. I am Sean Johnson. I am Tracy Davis-Johnson. And our podcast is about having conversations with people 50 and over, where they're talking about their wealth, their health, and their life changes. So like, share, and subscribe. Hey, and welcome back to Tea and Cornbread with Tracy and Sean. I am your host, Sean Johnson.
And I am Tracy Davis-Johnson.
Hey, Tracy, what's up?
Hey,
what's
Sean.
up? Listen, we got our man of the hour in today. Dr. Manny Wright, author of the Heirs of the Great Migration. We had the part 1, part 2, so this is part 3.
Part 3.
Yes, and we want to just top it off for you, Manny. Like, what was this weekend like? Thank you for even squeezing us into to your.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, to your tour, your home tour. That's what I'm calling it. Your home tour. Tell us, how does it feel to be home? What was your highlights? Just to how is it for you right now?
Excuse me. So today is a little bit better than it was yesterday and the day before. Mostly because it was kind of surreal just driving into the city. Like, I got home, to Bradley Airport late Thursday night. So that drive into Waterbury was surreal because I had all of these memories of like places that I went with my mom, or things that reminded me of my mother as I was driving home, and things that were reminding me of my family members who passed away. So it was very difficult. And then fortunately I hit the ground running Friday morning. We visited a couple of high schools downtown, in the Waterbury area, and the kids gave us energy, gave us life. And then, of course, yesterday was, I'm still processing yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday was incredible.
It was when they introduced you and you got emotional. Tell us what that felt like when you looked out into the audience and you seen family, friends, a teacher you talked about that was in the audience. What was going through you? We felt it, but yes. I want you to speak on it.
Yeah. So it was just a lot of the faces I had saw coming in, but I was so in the zone when I was sitting at the table, just like preparing my thoughts and, trying to take everything in. So, and it was kind of informal in the beginning. But once I walked on the stage and I sat in front of everyone, I just started to look at all of the different faces, and some of the faces who I didn't see initially. And then, just all sorts of memories. Like, I have memories in history with so many of those faces. Mm-hmm. And then it was just, wow, these people here to, because they care about me, or they support what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And they're interested, and mostly all of them, especially the ones that I know, and then a lot of the ones who I didn't know but met in that moment, the level of sincerity and authenticity, and care and concern for me. I felt it, and so it was just, and I'm an emotional dude anyway. So
are you?
don't put that. Don't say. We're not gonna say that too loud. I got a reputation.
Yeah, you got yeah.
Yeah. Nah, but I'm an emotional dude. So, I knew that was gonna happen, and I was trying to just like keep it together, but that's what
it's
it was.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's right.
The love was in the building.
Absolutely.
That's all. The love was in the building.
But you said it. You said it on your videos on Facebook. Come out with your love, your energy, all of that, and that's what happened.
Be careful what you ask for.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Wow. So when you talked about, and we're going to backtrack a little bit, you said you went to the schools. Talk about the schools that you went to, and did any of the kids read the book? Did they?
So, so we started out at Enlight,
Enlightenment.
Enlightenment. That's the one on Greg Street, right?
Yeah, on
the
Griggs.
where
Yep.
Pal is.
Yes.
Oh, with
Right,
Pal. Yeah.
So we started out there. Mrs. Moore, the principal there, she's incredible. I don't know if y'all know her.
I don't
I'm
know
not
her.
familiar.
No.
She's dope. She's incredible. She's she's passionate. She loves those kids.
Nice.
She ain't no joke. And and that was my first time meeting her. And so she commands the room. She commands the respect of the kids. You could tell the kids respect her. I think she did a really good job of choosing, some key staff. The staff that I met and some of her teachers there were in lockstep with her. So shout out to Mrs. Moore and her staff at Enlightenment School. And the funny thing was when I walked in the building, the first person I saw at the gate, was Ephraim. I don't know if you know Ephraim, but Ephraim was one of my high school basketball coaches when I was 14 or something.
Really?
And I have so many memories and so much history with him for all of those reasons, playing basketball back in the day. And so, it was just a shock to see him because I'm standing there. I walked in and he's the first person I see, and I was like, wow. So, and I was like, yo, I remember you, man. I said, Ephraim, man, we our birthdays are on the same day.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen this man in 35 years, probably.
Wow.
And I remembered
And you
that.
remember
I
that.
remember that
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
spot. Yeah.
yeah.
So, that was my initial moment walking into the school. But then once we started talking to the kids, the kids had, many of them had read the book. They asked, some really good questions. But first I gave a talk. I told them about, some of how I grew up and where I grew up and stuff like that. And then I literally grew up up the street and across the street, like up the street, across the street from where that building was. I spent a few years there on 95 Greg Street, and I shared that with them. It's literally, you could look out the window and see where I used to stay.
Wow.
And so, and I'm just telling them, where I came from and some of my struggles and, and some of the things that I'm sure a lot of them had heard about themselves from teachers or educators, and just, assuring them that, no matter what people say about you, you can flip the script, And so, this one kid came to me after, and he was sitting right in the front. He was sitting right in the front. And he was looking like you could tell he was locked in. And I couldn't read it at first. He came up to me and he said, I don't know about these other kids. He said, but I listened to every word that came out your mouth.
Wow.
Whoa.
He said it just like
Whoa.
that. He said, I listened to every word that came out of your mouth. I went in my pocket. I gave him my card. I said, look, this is my phone number. This is my email address.
Nice.
I want you to stay in touch with me. And if you need anything, I said, I'm not just saying this. I said, if you need anything, if you just want to talk, vent, text me, anything, I said, just, keep in touch. And then there was a lot of informal conversations that happened with kids, and they were really interested and really engaged. And then the same with the school on State Street. We went down there, and they were some, I guess State Street is a mix of younger and older students, but they were really engaged and polite. And you could tell they were smart. I was impressed. With both of the schools that we went to. I wish I could have went to Wilby. That was my, that's really where I wanted to go. But we couldn't go there because they had, exams had started, so we couldn't get there.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, because the impact, like your teacher said, she didn't realize the impact she was having on you.
Right.
But she was being who she is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that makes a big difference.
It does.
It's just being who you are and authentic with the kids, because kids know, and so for that young man to say to you, I heard every word you said, I was listening to every word you said, locked in like that.
Yeah, that speaks volumes.
Right. And just imagine him 5 years from now.
Right.
Maybe even 2 years from now, depending on how old he is. But that might be that trajectory of his life
Exactly.
switching, you know,
Yeah.
switching.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's what this is the purpose of this conversation today, is to like feel and see what your purpose coming here, you know what I mean?
Right.
Not just because it's your hometown and things like that, but making an impact, giving back, you know, reaching back and making sure that, you know, these kids, giving him your card,
Right.
you know what I mean? That's a pivotal. I think that's going to be a pivotal moment in that young man's life. Pivotal moment. And I hope he listens and heard you in a way where he said to keep in touch. Because don't tell
Well,
me
he
to
took
keep
the
in
first
touch, 'cause
step.
I'm going to do it.
He took the first step and he spoke
took-
up.
exactly.
You know, he took the first
Exactly.
step. So kudos to you for
Yeah.
giving him a hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's because a hand was given to you.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
You know,
Yeah.
you know.
And
All
we
right.
always say they're not paying attention. We constantly say, you know,
Yeah.
even with our children, we think they're not paying attention, but they truly are.
That's
Absolutely.
all they're doing.
Yes.
Right.
Paying attention. That's
Whether
all
it's the
they're
good, the
doing.
bad, or the
Right.
ugly.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. All right. So next stop.
Next time, I'm going to North Carolina and then Atlanta.
Okay.
Okay.
No, what I meant by next stop
sorry.
was after school. After you went to the school, then you know.
Your weekend.
Yeah,
Your weekend here in
Tell us your
Waterbury.
weekend.
Okay. So we did the two schools in the morning, and then we went up to Post, where the event was, Post University, and we scoped out the lay of the
The area.
the area,
Yep.
right? So because we were filming, so we just wanted to make sure that we wanted to see where everything was going to be. So we spent a few hours up there, just trying to figure out, you know, where to place the cameras and, you know, where to put the merchandise, and then we had a back room where we conducted interviews with some select people because, like I said, we're doing a documentary. And so we had, you know, all this was going on simultaneously. So I wasn't, but they were pulling people out to bring them to another room to have like little 15, 20-minute interviews with them. So we were looking on Friday to figure out where and how we were going to do everything that we were doing. And so we stayed up there for about 3 or 4 hours. You know, we told a lot of jokes and, you know, had some fun, and it was dope. It was good.
Nice.
Yeah, and then after that, I think, and then we went out to dinner. I went out to dinner with Judge Mosley and his crew. They invited us up to Verdi's. It's an Italian restaurant up there in the I don't know where that is.
Town Plot area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up there, yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we went up there. It was good. A lot of people who I knew, a few people who I knew. Mrs. Norman was there. One of my mother's co-workers and really good friends was there, who I didn't expect to see, and it was kind of it was kind of jarring to see her, you know, because she was really cool with my mom, you know. So she you know, we talked for a while. She sat next to me. And a couple of other people that I didn't know, and a few of them who ended up being on the panel. So that was my introduction to them. So Friday night, and then I went to bed.
I hope you got some rest.
Man, I still ain't got no rest.
Yeah, he went to bed. He didn't say he went to sleep.
Right,
so.
right. Okay. So
On to Saturday morning then.
Saturday morning. So, man, people don't know the stuff that go into this stuff. So I get up early Saturday morning, and now I have all the merchandise was waiting for me. So all the shirts and everything was waiting. So I had the guy bring them, and then we set up the table. So this is 8:30 in the morning. So I'm back at Post. We're setting up the table, setting up like the mannequin and figuring out where to put everything and where we're gonna have the merchandise and where we're gonna have the book signing. So we're doing all of this early in the morning, and then you know, people started coming in while I was there in my sweatpants. So you know, this maybe till around 10, 8:30 till around 10, and then I pulled out at like 10, went back to the room and got dressed and was late coming back.
Okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah,
That's
But
all
it
right.
worked out.
it worked out.
Yeah. So, okay. Now, what was the highlight? Like, what was your highlight about all of this? I know, like you said, just driving into Waterbury was one thing, and now you're on your way to, you said North Carolina and Atlanta, so you'll be on your way to North Carolina and Atlanta. But what was your highlight, and what did you accomplish? What you set out to accomplish? Or was it did it exceed your expectations? Um, yeah, all of
Yeah.
that. I have a lot of questions. Yeah, I have a lot of questions in one.
One question at a time.
Right.
Okay. My highlight and did it exceed expectations? Okay. So the highlight, Sean, if you ask me this 5 different times over the course of 5 months, I'm probably gonna have a different answer.
Yeah.
So right now, because I'm still processing, I'm not 1,000% confident in this answer, but this is what I'll probably say. Highlight was there were a couple of people who traveled from far just for this event,
Mm.
Nice.
right? Like my guy, my man. I'm gonna say Jay Baptiste. I don't know if you know Jay.
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah, I do.
So Jay Baptiste,
I remember him.
yeah. So Jay and I, we went to grammar school together. But he's a few years older than me. But we went to Sacred Heart Grammar School together. His brother, Jermaine, was actually in my class, so we were the same age. But Jay was one of the first people that read the book and was promoting the book and was like he read it and he called me and he was like, man,
Nice.
like he was like he was into it, and he said and then he like did his Facebook posts and IG posts and all on social media promoting the book early, like when it first came out. Like he was one of the first people promoting the book like that. So we talked on the phone and he was like, if anything I can do to support you. I said, listen, I'm having this event. I said, just come to the event. And then before I knew it, this was months ago, because this, like I said, this is when the book first came out. So when when I said that I would be coming home, he contacted me and said, I'll be there. And he came. And so I seen him yesterday, and I seen his family. He came, his mom came, and his brother came, and I hadn't seen them since grammar school.
Wow.
So I definitely hadn't seen his mom since grammar school. So it was stuff like that. It was it's stuff like that, like so many stories like that. People who I grew up admiring, and now they're like admiring something that I did. Like that's a big deal for me. Like people who I looked up to, and now they're looking at me like, yo, that's dope. The book is dope. I could go on, but I think that's probably like that story, and there are a couple of parallel stories like that.
Right.
What that I think was the highlight.
Awesome.
So Waterbury showed you love.
What
Yes.
they did. And Waterbury is a hard place. Waterbury can be a hard sell.
I would say that. Yes.
I don't know. And yes, we say that, but at the same time,
It's not a
because
bad thing, though.
it's not a bad thing. Because I say that, people would say that to me because of me being in business or whatever. But I mean, when I first opened up the shop, I had a business coach, and he did a demographic study, and he says your target is 5 miles from here, so outside of Waterbury. And I said, no, my target is here.
Right.
My clients come. You know what I mean? Because he went by statistics and
Yeah.
income and all of that, and I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to him. You know what I mean? Those people are outside of Waterbury didn't know me, but I have people that come from outside of Waterbury. You know what I mean? I got clients from Bristol, Hartford, this, that, and the other. But like you said, it might be a hard sell, but actually it's not.
Yeah.
you know?
No, and that's a good point because this is you made me think of something else, and I don't mean I'm not throwing shade at Waterbury at all.
Nope,
You know what I
nope,
mean?
nope,
So
right.
to be clear,
Right.
but we tough.
Yeah.
We tough.
Yeah.
I'm tough because I grew up here.
Right, right.
This place made me
Same
tough.
here, yes.
So that's what I mean. But at the same time, what I'm saying is, like, when I was writing the book, right, I had a couple of people. I had two people who I respect, who are scholars, who are, well read, well written, well known, and I asked them to read the book. And one of the criticisms that they thought, or one of the things that they were unsure about, was they said, who are you writing the book for? And I said, I'm writing this for my people. I'm writing this for my people, and mainly my people back home. But specifically, but generally, a lot of people will be able to grasp what I'm writing, and I'm writing them for people like me, the kids who are like me, people who have kids that were like me, people who care about, love the kids who were like me. Right, y'all know how I was when I was younger. So I said, I'm writing the book for them, and I'm writing them for the kids who are like me. So I'm essentially excluding all of my colleagues and my peers who are academics. I'm not writing it for y'all.
Right.
I'm not writing it for white folks.
Right.
If y'all like it, if y'all on board with it, if you're interested, if you happen to care and love young black boys in that way, then it's for you too.
Absolutely.
Right? But I'm essentially writing it for us, and specifically and mainly for Waterbury. So this was the critique I got from them. They said, well, the language, it seems too much. It seems like it's too, and I was like, you don't really know my people. You don't, these white folks too, these white, you don't really know my folks like that.
Right.
You don't know them. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, and we had this conversation.
Yeah.
I said, nah, I don't think you understand. I said, when I was young, I used to, I think I said this the last time too. I said, but when I was young, but it's to the point that you made. I said, when I was young, I said I wanted to read something like this, and if I didn't understand something, I would go to the dictionary. And they were like, but they're not you. And I'm like, what? But they're not you. Like, I'm the super Negro. I'm the special one.
My
I
goodness.
guess, you know how,
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
Right. So, they are. And so the point is, like you said, Waterbury showed love. They showed
did.
love. So
They did.
that's a clear example that aligns with what you say. I didn't listen to the experts, and I did what I thought would happen.
You went by your heart.
Right. And the results are, even though they're still early.
You have receipts.
Right. Exactly.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. You sold out of the book yesterday.
I did.
Exactly.
And let me tell you, because my girlfriend Daphne and Taisha, they were upset because they were like, they don't have no more books. And I tried to give them, because I lent my book out to somebody that didn't give it back to me till yesterday. And I was like, I got to get another book. And so, but there was only one. And she says, all right, never mind. I said, listen, you snooze, you lose, but you could order it. He's going to have more. Yeah, because they showed up and showed out.
Yeah,
That
they
was,
did.
and I say that because, you do have people. I meet people out of Hartford. Hartford is a different beast. You know what I mean? As far as, like I said before, looking for us. You know what I'm saying? Like in Connecticut, you kind of got to look for us, right? We're not out there like that, right? But Hartford, to me, I don't have to look for us, But what I do is I bring back that energy from Hartford here. The things that, we're passionate about. I'm not giving up on Waterbury, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else did. And I tell people all the time, Waterbury is not what y'all see or what is depicted. You have to be here. You know what I mean? You have to be here, whether you grew up here or not. I said, I have clients that migrated to Waterbury because it was more economical for them to move here, but they work in Danbury or they work outside of Waterbury. But the bond that we have, you know what I'm saying? Because I say all the time, I love my clients. I love my clients, and my clients love me, right? And this is how it is. We love Manny. Manny loved Waterbury, and Waterbury is loving on you. So, the experts can say what they want. You know what I mean? But we know, because we live and breathe it. It's in our blood, right? It's in our veins, and we up it, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's making sense, but we are always, big up in,
No doubt.
right, Waterbury. Um, yeah, so yeah, so yeah, you could say that it's hard. Yeah, it was hard because we are the smartest. You said that on the panel.
Yeah.
You was like Waterbury has like, and you've traveled. You said that
Mhm.
yesterday. You was like I've been everywhere, and Waterbury still has more than one of the most smartest people that you know.
No doubt. Yeah, most intellectual, most charismatic, sharpest. I mean, like, I'm, I've met people from all over, and when I think about like the people pound for pound that I know in Waterbury, like they don't take a backseat to no one. And that's for real.
So talk a little bit about the second half of your book tour yesterday when you had the panel up there. I didn't stay for that, unfortunately. After intermission, I did leave. So how did that go? What were those questions like? And who sat up there? I don't even know who was on the panel.
Oh, okay. So there was so Judge Mosley moderated the panel, the second half of the conversation, and the conversation was in and around the hollowing out of urban America, and it was we kind of talked about Waterbury as a case study of like what that means to the hollowing out, and so we had on the panelists we had several elders who were, I hope they're not offended by me. Is that an offensive? I hope not.
No.
Elders,
No.
okay, so certain elders, and I mean that with the
We
with the
thanking
utmost
God for them
respect.
because we
Yeah,
want to be
absolutely.
elders too.
No
Absolutely.
doubt. I mean, and they have a perspective that is very unique, and that's often not told or at least not highlighted appropriately. So we had some elders who were, who had migrated to Waterbury, like in the 40s, 50s in some cases, or whose parents migrated, in the 20s and 30s, and they were talking about like their experiences growing up in Waterbury and what they remember of Waterbury in its heyday. And then we had some other we had a couple ministers up there. One was a teacher as well as a minister, and then we had we had Gene Coleman up there. He was talking about some of his early memories of like the like when all of the drugs started coming into the city and stuff like that, and that's essentially what the hollowing out of America was about. It was about it was about you know the transition from like the urban or the industrial manufacturing jobs being shipped offshore, and and kind of that, and that was the vehicle that brought all of us, many of our ancestors, to Waterbury in the beginning, and as their next generations, in many cases us, started to come of age, all of those vehicles were gone, all of those manufacturing jobs were gone, and what filled the vacuum was the crack, was the cocaine.
Yes.
And it became an opportunity for people who, really not being forward thinking, not really understanding, the 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 disastrous effects of it, and but this was something that happened all over the country, right? Like at the same time.
Right.
And so
Right.
the question is like, how logistically, like, so I have an MBA, right? So I study logistics. I understand logistics. I understand like how to move significant amounts of anything, parts, supplies, from one place to another. Like that's a logistical concern, right? So it's like, how do you move heavy equipment from one place, from one country to another, right? What are the logistics involved? And so logistically speaking, we need to ask the question, how how did these tons of cocaine coming from foreign countries
Get here.
end up in the poorest, most divested, most under-resourced communities all over the country at the same time?
Right.
How'd that happen?
Right.
Just explain it to me logistically,
Right.
right? So we were talking about stuff like that.
And so, what was the outcome, or what was the suggested solution for, because we still have the aftermath of that, right?
It's still happening.
We still have the aftermath. It's not even really an aftermath. It's still
still
happening,
happening.
right? But what was some of the solutions that they came up with, or that someone's tried to do, you know, within just our city alone?
So, you know, unfortunately, I don't think I heard any.
Okay.
You know, at least not on the panel, but I've heard, you know, and what I know about us black folks in general, I think we talk in silos. We work in silos. And so while I know that there are people working and doing things and working towards solutions, you know, I don't know how interconnected they are. So what happens is when you have these kinds of systemic problems, you know, you need systemic solutions. You need solutions that are interconnected.
Right.
And so, you know, if one person is over here working in their own silo, you know, they need to understand that the person next to them working in their own silo, they kind of need each other.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, and that's it. And that's like, you know, that's a really general, broad way. I think that's not specific to Waterbury. I think that's
Period.
a national
Yeah.
problem that
Right.
we as black folks are, you know, need to kind of come to terms with. And then I'll say this too, you know, one of the things we have to like come to grips with is that if we are looking for Superman or someone that's perfect,
It's
gonna
not
not out
happening.
there.
It's not
it's gonna
happening.
be a
We
long
never
day.
had it.
Yeah, we never had
We
it.
never had it.
We never had
God
it.
is the only one.
Yeah, and and if you look at our civil rights leaders, none of them were perfect.
No.
None of them were perfect.
But
They
the-
worked together.
Right. And I was just about to say that. It's crazy because I stay on this soapbox, you know, about how we're being distracted, right, by all the negative things that are happening right now, right? But you said it. You said it in our first interview when you talked about 100 years of of segregation,
Right.
you know, education and how we lived and how we were self-sufficient, right? Not separately. I'm saying separately, yes, from others outside of black, but we were self-sufficient as a collective community and people across the nation, not just in our own little city. You know what I'm saying? Self-sufficient. So this is, I say all the time, we are responsible, not one person. We are responsible as a people, you know, and if we understand that we can shut the nation down by just not spending our money, we can shut all of that down. I get on that soapbox, right? But it's all starts like this, having these conversations, and not even so much having these conversations. What are we doing?
Yeah, the actions.
What are we doing?
And you have to continue too.
Right.
You have to
It's-
continue the conversation.
Exactly. And so I just had a conversation recently with someone. I said, I don't know her personally, and I cut the middleman out. She knows me by other people. I know her by other people. And I said, no, I want to have lunch with you because I want to know who you are, what you do, because she's doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like the events that she's having, she's acknowledging people in this in the city and things like that through her organizations. And I only see her, not only, I shouldn't say that, but I see her face a lot. And so we were talking, and I said, listen, I said, there's power in numbers. I said, how can we support each other collectively? You know what I'm saying? Because we're all hitting the same people, right?
Individually,
But,
though.
yeah, there was so many events that happened yesterday.
I know.
There was so many. And I'm saying to her, I said, listen, we need to bring our calendars together so
Yeah.
that we're not
Definitely.
overlapping.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good point.
you know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
Let's bring our calendars together so that we're not overlapping, so that we can support you over here together.
Right.
And then the next event is 5 hours later, not the next hour later.
Right.
So that
Right.
we, you know what I mean? I said, just as simple as that, you know? And she agreed. And so we started putting flyers to, you know, taking the flyers on Facebook. Everybody got a flyer and sharing it, that kind of thing. But we are going to like actively come together with these organizations that are all doing well in our area, doing the same thing, trying to bring us all together. But like you said, in their own little silo, right? own little side. Look, Tracy got her thing going. You got your thing going. I got my thing going. Why don't we have our thing going together?
Yeah.
Why can't we all support each other?
Right.
So I will, the collective that supports me will support your event, and then when my event happens, you bring your crew to my event.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how it has to be like that.
And it has to be. And so I told you about the co-op.
Right.
So that's what we're doing right now, is bringing about the co-op. And the co-op is a collective thing that's going to help empower, economically build our culture, and bring ourselves together in unity. That's what this grocery store is going to do. But in the meantime, the footwork to the grocery store has to be this. And this is what we're doing, right? And going to, we talk about it, we got to be about it, right? And so I'm one of those, like, I'm not just talking about it, and you ask, you don't ask for, if you don't ask, you won't get.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm just asking. Like, I called you, I'm like, hey, and I didn't know until after you said yes that you were going to be here on the 10th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Remember I said that?
Right,
I said, oh, that's perfect. We gonna, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's another statement where I didn't know. If I'd known, it would have even been even better. We would have organized it. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, it fell into place.
Right.
Right. And then asking again, you think you could squeeze in an in-person conversation?
Right.
Right? And when you said it, and I said, I don't want you to, feel stressed about it. But then you text me, it was like, listen, we got to make this happen. So, yes, the solution is not really hard. The solution is simple. Each one come together in one way, shape, or form, whatever, because all of us are talented in different ways. But if we bring our talent together collectively, everything that's happening outside won't penetrate it. It won't penetrate it. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. And then when we talk about the crack era and all that, I have a brother that's been on drugs on and off since he was 15 years old. He'll be 60. But one thing I said to our co-op, said when we go out there in the neighborhood to say, hey, because everybody wants to push them out, get them out the way. No, they live here. They know it. Yeah. So if you just say, hey,
work with them.
Right.
You got to work with them.
Listen, would y'all help us put this garden together? Everybody can eat from it. Mm-hmm. I know for me, when we ask him to do something, he lights up. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not ignoring him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We can't
giving
ignore
him responsibility.
Right. Everybody's in the situation that they may control or may not be able to control. But I've never been on drugs.
Right.
So I don't know what it can. Yeah. But I got a brother that's been on, and I know his valleys and his old peaks and valleys. And
I think it's important to say too, because what we found out sort of recently, once the white folks started getting hooked on drugs, we found out that it was a mental a mental illness, but it was a
it
disease.
changes when it hits home to someone
else.
It's
considered a disease.
Yeah. And so if you treat it, and imagine if we would have treated crack cocaine addiction as a disease, right? What that could have done,
right?
Instead of ostracizing the folks the way we did.
But
right,
you said it at the beginning. How did all of this across the nation at the same time happen at the same time? Because it was dropped there. No doubt. It was on purpose. There was an agenda, and the agenda was played out.
So
it's still being played out.
Mm-hmm.
We have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, right? And we have to acknowledge that. And the way I want to do this is I'm going to do it like I'll be brief, but I mean I think it's important, to talk like historically about like we have an open enemy in this nation. Like when I say we, I mean like black folks historically who wanted to be self efficient and independent and free, right? There are people who are historical enemies of that notion, right? And we can't run from that.
Nope.
Like that history, like how the past became the future, right? Like so we have to understand. So if we don't understand the past, we don't understand this today. We don't understand what's happening to us today. And so a lot of times I get frustrated with black people when they say, oh, you want to blame the white man for everything. No, not everything. But we want to blame them for what they're responsible for.
Absolutely.
Right? And they're responsible for a lot.
Absolutely.
Not everything.
Right.
But can they take their credit? Can they take their share due?
Yeah.
Right.
Can we give them that much?
Yeah.
Or do we not? Or do we say slavery wasn't a thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Or 100 years of Jim Crow wasn't a thing?
Right.
Do we say that? Do we say that redlining isn't a thing?
Man.
Do we say that certain individuals in certain communities that can get bank loans and others who can't? Can we say that's a thing? Can we say that's not a thing?
Because you're not making it up.
Right.
You're not making it up.
So I'm saying can we say that the design again across the country after our 100-year institution was decimated? Can we say that the contemporary design of our educational system, which consists of, like in the case of Waterbury, something like 70% of the students are black and brown, and how many of them are, how many educators? What's the percentage of black and brown educators? Something like 1%. Well, I don't know what it is.
I don't know
It's
either.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very small.
Can we not? Is that not an issue?
Right.
Can we? We're gonna whitewash that too?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Not either.
I'm not. So so I guess the solution is to something like that. Let's get some. We need elected officials. We need to find good people that we could support to
and
run
back.
for. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a key thing, because and the issue too, right, is like you have to have we have to understand this too, right? So the truth is in the message. It's not in the messenger.
Right.
This is flesh.
Right.
This flesh is gonna go. The truth is gonna be here forever. Forever. Whoever decides to pick that truth up, whatever their flesh looks like, that's the truth. The truth is here forever. The flesh, it comes and goes. This body is going to be gone. Somebody's going to pick it up later, and then that truth is going to be the truth, whether it comes from me or not. Whether it comes from me or not, the kid who grew up on the Sugar Bowl and who used to run around and was running the streets, thought I was super kid, right? So you're going to hold that against me as opposed to what I'm saying to you? Right. You're going to hold that against me.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because people do that.
But it's systemic. Think about it. Like you said, from slavery, right? And then it's like, they want to be free, but they're not going to be free because we're still going to have this, and this in place where you can't be free. You cannot. And, so you're doing well over there? We're going to burn it down.
We're going to burn it down.
We're going to burn it down.
Right.
And whoever else in it. Oh, your land, that's your land, 400 acres? Oh, we're gonna burn it down. And they're not even burning it down. They're forcing you out
of it.
And you can't even go back and claim your land. This is systemic. And it's true. And they're trying to hide the truth.
Yeah. Because
why? We are coming and writing about it. The truth. Like you said, somebody's going to pick it up. Somebody's going to pick it up. We, like I said back a few minutes ago, we have to come together collectively. If we come together collectively, they can't penetrate us, even if it's in our own little corner of the world, because we can't save the world, right? We can't. But in our own little city or our own street or whatever, our own neighborhood, whatever it is that we can do in our own neighborhood, just do it. Just one thing at a time. You know what I'm saying? Starting with the truth. Starting with the truth. And the truth is, too, remember the video that was done in 1999? Common Thread is called. It was a Waterbury documentary.
Oh, I seen it. The Mattatuck Museum.
Yes.
That's powerful.
That was powerful. Yeah. And it said a lot. And it didn't discriminate anything or against anybody.
Right.
It said a lot because what they said was, we work together, talking about the Pearl Street Community House and how they did everything there, starting from education, educating people, the kids and things like that, to dance, to basketball, to tennis, all of that. You know what I mean? We are responsible for bringing that back.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody else.
You're right.
And there's a generation gap in the sense that a lot of us don't know that we do because
Right,
we were products of it.
They missed that.
Right.
Yeah.
We were products of it. So we were products of the pride and
Yeah.
the summer programs
Yes.
and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So, but there are generations after us who don't know. And what they don't know is that, like, which a lot of us may have taken for granted, maybe myself at least, I may have took for granted the people who were responsible for that, the organizers and the people who were,
You
like
left it
getting
in somebody else's hands.
Right.
Well, you know what it is? When they started dying off, there was nobody under them. You know what I mean? So, like my grandmother, you know, Mildred Paris, right? She did 70 years as the junior choir director at Grace Baptist Church.
Wow.
70.
What?
70. My great-grandmother started it, and after they did their first, when they sang the first time, she died. My great-grandmother. And my grandmother was 21 years old, and she just said, okay, and did it.
Stepped right into
70 years. But the thing is, and I'm guilty of this, because she thought I was going to come behind her, because, we all learned piano, all of that, right? But I said to her, you're not teaching us. You don't want us to do anything. I was 17, right? I'm not even going to go to church right now because I'm grown, right? Thinking I am. But when we talk about that, her, Mrs. Wright, her and my grandmother used to bump heads. But when they bumped heads behind the scenes.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Behind the scenes. When it came to those kids, they unified.
They was one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because my grandmother ran WOW, and Miss Wright ran Pride. Yeah. But what did they have in common was the youth.
They sure
Kids,
did.
You know what I'm saying? And they made sure. And like you said, we need nurturers. We need teachers that say, boy, if you don't go sit down, boy, if you don't pull your pants up, boy, if you don't stop talking like that, just checking people. Those two people, like you said, you know what I mean? Those people that were responsible for these programs, I'm just saying two, there was many. There were many.
Right.
Because we had all kinds of stuff happening, Now, and I'm big ups to Margaret at the Rec. She's bringing it back. She's bringing the Rec back the way it used to be. You know what I'm saying? And on top of, more contemporary type things that she's bringing. Even Double Dutch. She was talking about bringing Double Dutch back. The kids don't know. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but that's a testament of what you were just saying. There's not many that stepped up after that. Like our generation after. Like our kids, they understand because we talk about it and we raised our kids in a way. 'Cause you see my son, you know what I mean? My kids weren't idle in the summertime. They didn't have a cell phone until
that's
they were
where it
13,
starts, though.
14. Yeah, it starts from home. But my village is the reason why I'm still in Waterbury. I've never lived out of Waterbury. I've traveled and always say, I'm moving out of Waterbury. I'm moving. No, my village is here. And my kids know that. So they look at me. My daughter's down for moving and doing something, right? But we always going to come back here. Yeah. Kyle's like, yeah, no, Mom, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And here we are, right? And we're doing this podcast in this studio that's been here forever because this is from Channel 13 we used to watch. I think it still is, right?
Right.
So having these opportunities to even have this conversation.
I'm on Channel 13, y'all. I made it.
We made it, right? But these conversations, I hope whoever's listening takes this conversation and takes just one piece out of it. Reach out to us. If you got something going on, we trying to collaborate. You got something going on that is doing something in the community for whatever it is to uplift and empower and encourage and build it back, check us out. Email us. My email is info@newpathwellnessgroup.com, right? Email us, North End Cooperative Market. Look it up. We have a website. You want to be part of our North End Co-op? Please go to northendcoop.com and sign up on our email list. You know what I mean? There's so many things that are really happening out here. Yesterday was, so many events was happening yesterday.
It was crazy.
All black events that I know of.
Right.
You know what I mean? And everybody, I know people that was stretching themselves to be everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, so we got to come together and say, no, let's sync our calendars. You know what I mean? So that my group of people can go to your event and we don't have to leave in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You know, and support. I'm sorry,
So-
I went on a rant.
We know. It's okay though. We let you go.
I know, I just went all
But
over
back
the place.
back to Dr. Wright.
Right.
And what's next? You said North Carolina. You said Atlanta.
So when I leave here, I'm driving to North Carolina, and so basically I'm going just to see some family, and I haven't been to North Carolina since we buried my mother.
Okay.
So I need to go and and sit at her feet and put some flowers on her grave, and and probably go chop it up with a couple of my aunts and hug on them, and
And let them hug on you and love on you.
Right.
yeah, because I'm gonna need it. One of
Yeah.
my aunts said to me, she said, boy, you don't go to that grave by yourself. She said, don't go out there by yourself. You should go with somebody. And I wasn't even thinking about that, but since she said that to me, I was like, wow, I would have been a mess,
Yeah.
had I went out there alone. So so I'm gonna go with someone. So I'm gonna do that, and then I have to be in Atlanta Thursday night because there's a Juneteenth festival celebration at Centennial Park Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'm gonna have all the merchandise and all the more books for sale for that weekend, and so we're just gonna be promoting the book, and then I'm also, while I'm in Atlanta, I'm gonna be promoting another book signing and a book event. I think it's September 3rd, Labor Day weekend, and one of the bookstores in downtown, the west end of Atlanta. Okay. So I'm gonna be promoting that while I'm there this weekend.
Awesome.
We are proud of you.
Yes.
We love you. We appreciate you taking the time with us. And that's just it. We are.
Yeah.
We are thankful
Yes.
and grateful.
Yes.
All of that.
Yes. All of it. All of it.
Right, I appreciate it.
And blessings upon blessings upon
Yes.
blessings. And your tour is going to be national, then global. I see it. It's happening.
I'm for it.
Because
I'm
this
for it.
story is for all the little Mannies
Yes.
in the world.
Yes.
All of them from the beginning to the end. I mean, I couldn't put the book down, but then I picked it up, and then I got emotional because I know your mom, and I know your family, and I knew Trey.
A
and
lot of people, when you read the book, and you do this with books anyway, it takes you there.
Yeah.
It took you back to the
Yeah.
places. When you start talking about them, you were there. You were in it.
And I'm hoping, and I'm gonna speak this out. I'm hoping that when you come back to Waterbury, meaning part of your tour, and part of your tour again, we want to help bring you back, and talking to some more kids, and when the co-op opens up, we're gonna have a little book section because I don't know if you're familiar with co-op grocery stores. Okay. And so we could do what we want, basically, and have a little corner storytelling, things like that. Looking for the next book because I know you have another one in your head. I'm just just thinking.
Is that a
right?
question, Sean?
That's a statement. I'm projecting, right? Projecting. But yes, this was amazing. I'm so glad that you allowed Tracy and I to be a part of it.
Yes.
I'm so glad that we showed up yesterday at the book signing, moved our schedules around. I told my client, I'll see you at 4:00 instead of 7:00. And then I was telling her about it. I gave her the book, and she's like, what? And she's not from here. So she's not familiar with the Sugar Bowl and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But there's my other clients that are familiar, man, they're just like, what? I said, right. He brought back some
I was going to say that
memories.
you made us think about some things we forgot about.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I forgot all about that.
And how ironic it was, too, that they had a ceremony, Chris Love
Or the
Foundation.
same day,
How
yeah.
ironic.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the universe. That's God,
No
right? God always has divine intentions for those that are walking right.
Yep.
Damn well. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That was ironic that that Chris Love, and like you talk about pulling people up and not knowing if they're paying attention. And Chris probably didn't know how much I was paying attention to him, but I was, and I never got a chance to tell him, the impact that he had on me. But now is my opportunity.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And you did already. Giving that young man your card.
Yeah.
Giving that young man your card. And I pray that he does, know that you're not just saying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that he does call you.
Yeah.
And stay in contact for the rest of his life.
No
You
doubt.
know what I mean?
Oh,
Literally.
yeah.
'Cause I'm like that with my people. I stay. Don't tell me I can call you, because I will. I really will. Even if I'm calling you just to say, hey.
She will.
Always.
I ain't heard from you in a minute.
Right. That's it. Because we have to stay connected.
Right.
That's how we were raised. That's how we were raised here. Even when we talked about getting the dictionary out. You know what I mean? Simple stuff. These kids.
When a young lady talked about it yesterday up on the stage, and she was saying there were words in here I had to put. I thought I was the only one.
Nope.
I'm like, wait.
Yep.
I need.
Exactly.
Honestly, I did it. I have a pad where I was writing down some words out this book. I'm
Yeah.
saying, okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what this
Let me
means.
tell you,
Let
my
me
grandmother
figure
and my
this out.
mother. If we even asked, could you? If we had to.
How do you
needed
spell?
help,
They say no. Get the dictionary.
Right, or the encyclopedia. Looking at a word, and if we couldn't pronounce it, they told
Yep.
us get the dictionary. They
Yep.
didn't help us.
My parents
pronounce
did the same thing.
it. Break it down.
Yeah.
Right, simple stuff.
And that was one of the things, like I said, and it's crazy that you're saying that, because I wasn't arguing. I wasn't going to argue with them, but the fact that these are white educators who are allies of our causes. They don't know that about us.
Right.
They don't know.
Right.
They just assume that I was the only one like that, and I'm
Right.
like, no. This is how we are.
Right.
Right. And so that's why, again, this is why it's important for us to be responsible for our education, because they don't know us. It's not a bad thing.
Exactly.
It's
Right.
not.
It's
This
not.
is not bad. It's
Nothing
just
bad against
nothing
them.
bad. It's nothing personal. It's nothing. It's not about that.
Right,
It's just.
right.
It's just what it is.
It's just what it is. I remember my grandmother when they were talking about Ebonics, and she says, Ebonics. She didn't say Ebonics. She said Ebonics, whatever that was, right? And I said, okay. She says, no, that's just giving us permission to be stupid or to be dumb. You know what I mean? I said, but now with texting, it's here. You know what I mean? The way now you can text a whole word, but back when texting started, you can only text X amount of words. So they started using what do you call it? Acronyms and
Acronyms.
things like that for words. You know what I mean? And for me, I'm lost. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What is that? What is
Right.
that? But yeah, but for us in our household, you couldn't talk, you couldn't speak slang. You had to speak proper English, if it's proper, right?
It's relative.
It's relative.
Right.
Yeah. You had to speak a certain way. You just didn't. And they made sure that when you go out there, you know who you're talking in front of. You have respect for yourself. You know what I mean? And know what you're talking about when you open your mouth. If you
Yeah.
don't, ask questions. You know what I mean? Pick up a book. My kids could not say they were bored. Go get a book.
One of the things that I think I hope people pull from, not just from the book, but also, like you were saying about how people who aren't from Waterbury, people who are from Waterbury, it's gonna resonate, especially if they're a little older, and even if they're not, just the places and some of the people. But for people who aren't from Waterbury, just the stories of the migration story, right? Like, and to understand like the historical meaning behind why whoever of their ancestors decided to migrate, right? Like, what was it about them, like, do the knowledge on, who these people were in their lives, right? So like in my case, it was my great grandfather and then my grandmother, right? And so when I started to learn about them, right, I realized that these people were special.
Mm-hmm.
They were special. They were different. They were a different breed of people, and so I think when people start to realize and start to make the connections to what their ancestors had to go through and who they turned out to be, right? Like there's a sense of pride in that.
Exactly.
Right. And like, and so that's why history is so important.
Yes.
And so, I think that like it's an opportunity with this book and, and even, if it's an opportunity for people to tap into their ancestors and talk to them about what life was like for them, and then they'll be surprised. They'll be surprised. And so that's one of the things that I'm hopeful for, that people will be able to like understand, right? Like, understand like how much, for example, in Waterbury, how much Waterbury meant to so many people. And despite, what it devolved into, and a lot of that was outside of our control. A lot of that was external and, national politics that allowed for deindustrialization to happen, and a lot of local politics, saying that went into a lot of the divestment in our communities. Saying like, and there were a lot of things that would weaken us to not necessarily see what was going on. Like weaken us, I mean like the future generations, the generation after, our ancestors who migrated. So they weakened us with the crack. So some of us became diseased, and some of us looked for economic opportunities, which led to mass incarceration. You know what I'm saying? And so now a lot of us have woken up to that. And now it's like, okay, damn, like you could look around and you could see like the wreckage, the you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, we got to clean up now. Where do we start?
Absolutely.
Where do we start? And so that's where we are, like in the present moment, like where do we start?
Right. The Mattituck Museum sent me the interview that my grandmother, the audio interview of my grandmother from 1999 or 95, 98, I think. And she was talking about my great grandparents, and when they moved here because of the factories and stuff like that. The story I never heard of. I never heard this story, and so when she's talking, I'm sitting here like, whoa! I have the audio of this. Whoa! And it was, I listened to it before we talked. I think it was before we talked and before I finished the book. So it parallels, right? But because my great grandfather moved here, and he lived on Vine Street because he worked at because these factories housed the people that moved here, and so he was one of those families, and they had 7 kids. I think my grandmother had 7. They had, don't quote me on that, I don't remember, but anyway, he ended up buying the house that he was staying in, and he bought another house on Vine Street, and then guess what? He used to grow vegetables and sell vegetables out of his car. But yeah, so I was amazing listening to her talk about my great grandparents, and then I understood why I'm the way I am to a certain extent, because I always wondered, why do I feel like this about this? Because my grandmother is from the South, but she was brought here when she was 3 or 4 years old, so they didn't do farming, and so for her growing something, but my uncle did, her brother. So, thinking about all of those things, like sometimes I think about why am I so passionate about certain things? And when she was talking about that, I was like, it's in my blood.
Ancestral knowledge.
It's in my blood. So we have to really have those conversations with our with our elders in our family, about just asking, how was it when you grew up? And they would just give us so much. I don't think I ever asked my grandmother that question, even though she imparted in us a lot of things, you know what I mean? And in the ways where the way she grew up, and things like that. So like, for instance, customer service, and being that she worked at Wirtz. Remember Wirtz downtown? She 43 years. Wow. And she started off in the hairdressing department. sweeping up hair, but she had an education. She was like, this is not, so she worked her way up. I'm going to send y'all the audio of that. So when she talks about that,
Please
it was
do.
just like, wow, and ended up manager. By the time she retired, she ended up managing. And when she was a manager, she was hiring all the little black boys around us.
Where did she go to school at?
Which she went to Hampton University. She didn't graduate from there, though. She went to Hampton, and then she graduated from Naugatuck Valley. But she stayed in classes and some, so English and math was her thing, bookkeeping, stuff like that. So she knew her worth. You know what I mean? She knew her worth in her early 20s and 30s. She knew her worth and worked her way up at Worth's. And they would tell her, yeah, you black, but you can't. I understand that you want to hire your people, but I can't have a whole store of black people. Stuff like that. And she told us, but it didn't stop her. She didn't retaliate. What she did was, okay, but they're more than capable of doing this. They,
Right.
you know what I mean? We're not stupid.
Right.
But I got to send you that audio because, it was powerful to listen to.
Yeah, send it.
It was powerful. All right. So, listen, we've been talking. We
I
can hold you
know.
up. We can hold you up.
And we know he needs rest.
Yes, yes,
I'm
yes.
not getting any rest. I'm gonna leave here and do another podcast
Okay.
with the basketball. You know the basketball.
Wait, Eric.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. You see, we all connected.
Yeah.
All connected.
Till
You
Eric,
gave
we
him-
said,
you gave him my
hey.
number.
Yeah, I did.
He called me.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it after this. So,
Yeah, awesome,
Oh, nice.
awesome. Yeah,
Nice.
so tell him I said hey.
I will.
And I'm so excited because this is all, we're going to send all this information for your documentary. And I mean, because this is, we're asking different questions. Everybody's asking
Yeah.
different questions. So we're getting a piece of you all the way around. We're going to know you inside out.
I know. All the stuff I wanted to keep tucked away.
Yeah,
Coming
yeah,
out. All the
yeah.
skeletons coming out.
Yeah. Look, he said he's emotional, y'all. He said he's emotional. So, hey, but thank you.
All the boys in my family were, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry about that. But they all are. I'm putting their business out there.
that's all right.
It's okay.
That's all
Appreciate
right.
y'all.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate
we
you.
love you.
Yeah.
Like, for real. I think about the shop when you used to come in the shop.
Exactly.
I think about that, and just having conversations. Yeah.
That was
long time ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah. Long time ago. And I closed the shop in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. After 28 years? I think it was 28 years. Yep.
Think about it.
I know. But Waterbury, I mean, if it wasn't for Waterbury, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
I wouldn't be here.
You're like, as a hair salon stylist, you're like the equivalent of, I guess, for women, like what Tiny was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, definitely.
Tiny the barber,
Yes.
and then Sean the hairstylist.
Right.
Right? Like he's like, right? Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
I don't know if it's accurate because I won't. I mean, people may say that. You know what I'm saying?
You heard
so
that before?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No. I've heard people just say, Sean, I just need to tell you what you've done for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it was a hub. It was definitely a hub for women, young ladies. I missed the space for that reason. You know what I mean? Because if you were tall enough to shampoo, I let you shampoo. You didn't have to be old enough. Just giving
tall
them. Yeah. You didn't have to be old enough. You just had to be tall enough. And if you wanted to, then come on in.
Well, I just want to give you your flowers, because as someone who, a business owner in Waterbury for almost 3 decades, that's impressive. And not only that, but just, the clientele and the reputation that you built, in the city, is dope, and it should be celebrated. You know what I'm saying? And so, kudos to you, Sean.
Thank you.
Because, like, I know for people who would like that I would share this with, who's not from Waterbury, they don't know probably who I'm talking to, and like, this is Sean. Sean is a very famous hairstylist in Waterbury. She looks 22, but she's had her shop for 27 years. So 5 years before she was born, she started. She opened the
He's
hair
getting his
salon.
professional actor on. He's right in the camera. No more looking nowhere else but in that camera.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I'm learning how to embrace it and say thank you, because usually we deflect.
Don't want to hear
Yeah.
it. Not me.
Yeah,
That
I'm
attention.
embracing it.
Yeah.
I'm embracing it, and then I retired from that and started. I started 9 years ago already, but my wellness business. I'm a wellness coach because of my clients were being just as sick as I was, and when I healed myself, now I'm here to help people heal themselves.
I love Sean. I love you too, Tracy.
That's what we here for. That's what we here for. But we won't keep you no longer.
Okay.
All right. You said you're going to be in Atlanta. You're going to be in North Carolina. Safe travels, traveling mercy for you. Yes. And, let us know if you got something else you want to talk about.
Yeah.
And
you're always welcome.
Yeah.
Zoom is a thing.
Absolutely. Zoom is a thing. Zoom is a thing. All right. I love you.
All right.
From the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. This was Tea and Cornbread, a conversation with Dr. Manny Wright. And we are in our Waterbury, Connecticut studio at Sky Cable, Channel 13.
Yeah.
We made it, y'all.
Mama, we made it.
All right.
Thank you.
And thank you. So check us out on anywhere podcast is streaming. Yes. Spotify. It's called You're 50 Now What? Is the name of our podcast, and the other one's called Back to Earth. Yes. All right. Have a great one. If you don't take care of your body, where you going to live?
There you go.